Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to Utility Sports. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about the NBA season, specifically the NBA awards process, with one of the most important and prestigious awards in all of basketball. And that, of course, are the All-NBA teams. There's three of them each and every year. And these three All-NBA teams actually do have really big importance for certain players when it comes to contracts, because it really, designates whether you're a supermax player or not. At the end of the day, this is really important for a lot of these guys. So we're going to talk about who I have on my All-NBA teams up to this point. Remember, the season's not over. I am recording this March 24th. The video will come out March 25th. So maybe last week of the season, a guy goes absolutely off, moves himself up a team, or maybe the last week of the season, a guy falls off and then hurts himself and his case. Remember, I am recording this March 24th. So there's a little bit of leeway here, but this is my early indications on where I would vote and where I would put my votes for these guys. So let's move forward here in the video. And I want to actually start off here with a big thank you to Pixel Witch on Twitter. We're going to have the link to that Twitter account in the description. Make sure to go give them a follow. They actually made the brand new open that you saw here in today's video. So really creative, really talented creator for content like that one that you saw at the open of the video. And I want to issue a huge thank you to them for making that take time out of their day and sending it to us. So again, thank you. If any of you have creative talents like that as well, please share it with us on Twitter. We do have our Twitter as well in the description. So go give us a follow on there and give us a follow on TikTok as well while you're at it. Thanks again all so much for the support. You've done a wonderful job. And I really do want to thank you guys from the bottom of my heart with the support here on the YouTube channel, also on Twitter, and then also the TikTok. You guys are absolutely awesome. So we really do appreciate it. And now let's jump forward here into some ground rules. First of all, a player's position does matter, sort of. We'll talk about how there's a little bit of flexibility here with that, specifically for the position. So each NBA team, and remember there's three of them, has two guards, two forwards, and one center spot. Now, some players actually do have some flexibility. Like last year, Nikola Jokic was listed as a power forward and also a center. So he can actually fit into either, assuming he has the same positional flexibility this year, which is what I assumed in this video. Remember, there's only 15 spots. I'm bound to leave off some really great players. If you can only put the top 15 players in the world, you're going to make some people mad probably by not including either their favorite player or the best player on their team, so on and so forth. But, you have to make some tough decisions. And because of that, I had to leave some guys off that I did not want to leave off. It's very tough. There's 18 or 19 guys who I thought were probably deserving, and I had to cut it down to 15. So very tough again. And then it's based on this season. I do not care what the player's name is, a la Kevin Durant, a la LeBron James. I don't care. Okay. I'm going to go off of this season because it's a single season award. It's not who's had the better career. It's who's had the better season. And I ranked it that way. So these are my own opinions and thoughts. I did take team record into account a bit as well, but those are my ground rules here. I'm very interested to hear your guys' All-NBA team, so make sure to comment those in today's video as well. And now let's move forward here into the player pool. Take a look at it now. I'm not going to read through every single name here, but these were the guys who really drew some consideration for me at the guards, forwards, and center spot. As you can see, the center is obviously a little bit thinner because it's one position compared to forwards. You have small forwards and power forwards. And the other thing here is the asterisks are really important as they denote a player who is eligible at two spots. As you can see, Nikola Jokic is listed under centers and forwards. LeBron James is listed under guards and forwards, so on and so forth. There's a lot of guys who are kind of multi-positional and therefore can fit at a variety of spots, which gives you a little bit of leeway in trying to make this list. It does take quite a bit of time. I spent a lot of time on this video. So if you guys are enjoying, make sure to hit that like button. Also subscribe to the channel if you are new. And let's get forward here into it now. All-NBA first team. This is the one that kind of dictates where everything else goes. And I think it's pretty obvious who the first player has to be here. At the center spot, Joel Embiid. He's been the best center in the NBA, especially since I have flexibility with Nikola Jokic, who is not far behind him here as my forward. These two are the first two obvious guys. These are the front runners for MVP this year. And this is where the flexibility is important because, let's be honest, if they finish 1-2 in MVP, but a whole bunch of people split their votes on whether they're center or forward, it could mean one of these guys falls on an All-NBA second team when the real votes do come out. I think pretty much anyone who has a vote needs to vote this way because you have Embiid and Jokic then both on the All-NBA first team. It's very well deserved. The NBA is a little bit murky here with how it goes about the positional rankings. because realistically, we don't get the 15 best players on this list. We get the 6 best guards, the 6 best forwards, and the 3 best centers, which ultimately ends up being 15 guys, but it does mean that certain guards get left off a little bit more frequently. Maybe some centers get left off. Here, this is the way you have to start your list. It has to be Embiid and Jokic both on All-NBA first team. And then moving forward here, you also have another forward spot that you have to dedicate here to Giannis Antetokounmpo. These 3 guys, I think, are locks. This is probably 1, 2, 3 and MVP here. These 3 are going to be All-NBA first team players. I would be shocked if they're not, each of them for their own right. Embiid carried Philly near the start of the season. Jokic has been carrying Denver all season long. You look at his on-off splits. Every advanced analytic is pointing toward Jokic being the MVP again. And if he's not in the All-NBA first team, that's just a mistake. And then Giannis Antetokounmpo, again, one of the better two-way players in the league. We know what he is, 2-time MVP, finals MVP winner as well. He's a lock. He goes in and plays hard every single night. He's the big reason why the Bucks are what they are. And Giannis needs to be All-NBA first team. Now we get to the guards. The guards are the interesting spot here. When you look at what they have, there's a ton of different ways you could go because there's a lot of really good guards out here. And you could consider statistics, you could consider winning. I've done a little bit of both here, and my first guard spot goes to Luka Doncic of the Dallas Mavericks. Now, I know some of you who know me probably could have seen this coming, but the reasoning here is pretty clear to me. You know, someone who averages 28, 9, and 9, the statistics back up him being an All-NBA first-team guy. He's already done it twice. This would be his 3rd time. He's only 23 years old. He's on pace to set records with the trajectory his career is on already. And I think this is a no-brainer, to be honest. I know that he didn't have the start of the season that many would have liked to see him have. But realistically, the last 3 months of the season, he's been arguably the best player in the league. One of the top 3 players in the league for sure the last 3 months of the season. Since the Kristaps Porzingis trade, his play's gotten even better. Month of February, averaged 35 points a game. March, he's having another great season as well. I mean, it's just too obvious. And the Mavericks are winning. So the team success is there. The individual stats and numbers are there. And their whole offense is ran through him. He's the Nikola Jokic for the Dallas Mavericks, okay? So, you know, I know some people are going to say, well, you know, didn't start the year as you'd like, but he's been so great the remainder of the season outside the first, 8 games that I'm not worried about it. He's an All-NBA first-team player again. I would be shocked, to be honest, if he doesn't actually make the real All-NBA first team when it's all said and done. Now the final 5th spot and the second guard spot here on the All-NBA first team is where things get really tight, condensed, and very tough to make a decision here, specifically because at this guard spot, you're looking for a variety of different things. So you could go with the individual stats, which would point toward a guy like LeBron James here, who's averaging 30 points a game, and is leading the league in scoring right now, but his team isn't winning. You could consider Ja Morant, who has kind of the blend of both, where his team is winning a bunch, and you also look at a situation where he has been playing really well himself. He's had a really good season. Now, his team has won quite a few games without him, so that's maybe one of the only knocks against him. But at the same time, anyone who actually watches the Grizzlies know they are really better with him. They don't have a shot in the playoffs if he wasn't playing. So I think, you know, anyone who really watches basketball and knows what Ja Morant is, knows that Ja Morant is the engine behind the Grizzlies. He really empowers that team. And without him, they'd probably be left in the dust a little bit, specifically with where they were a few years ago. So he gets some strong consideration. Then statistically, Trae Young as well. Another guy like LeBron who should probably get some consideration because he's putting up 28 and 10. Some seriously good numbers there. Defensively, though, he is pretty terrible. So that's one of the reasons why I would not go with him here. I did opt to go with Ja Morant. I do think this is a very tight, condensed race. You could also consider Chris Paul from Phoenix. There's a lot of good options at the guard spot. The guard spot is very heavily contested. And I think Ja Morant here probably the favorite to go on the first team, just with how the narrative is around him as well there in Memphis. And I think it's deserved. I do think he's worthy of an All-NBA first team selection this season. He's putting up historic numbers, very similar to what Dwayne Wade put up his 3rd year in the league when he won the NBA Finals with the Miami Heat. Again, I think that this is very well deserved and warranted. And this is my All-NBA first team. So here it is now. You guys can give me your thoughts on it in the comment section as we speak. But this is where I currently sit with my All-NBA first team. Moving on now to the All-NBA second team. And we're at a spot here where you have to look at some of the other options on the board. Obviously, the All-NBA second team, not as illustrious as the All-NBA first team, but still a very, very high level of recognition because it denotes you essentially as a top 10 player in the league. So I'm going to start it off with Jayson Tatum here, who's clearly and squarely in the MVP conversation, and it's deserved. His place since the All-Star break has been phenomenal. He's top 10 in scoring right now. His efficiency numbers are really good. And if you want to compare his numbers to another wing, it would be DeMar DeRozan here from Chicago. These two guys' numbers are essentially the same. Both of them have been very clutch players. Now, Jayson Tatum this year has really struggled from the three-point line in clutch moments, but holistically on two-pointers, he's shooting 50% in the clutch. And then DeMar DeRozan actually is shooting better from three in the clutch than he does regularly. He's had so many game winners. He's been huge for Chicago. Their season's been so phenomenal. And he's really the big reason why. His play this year has been tremendous. These two guys, I think, should be locks for the All-NBA second team, especially with where the forwards currently sit. You know, no Kawhi Leonard this year, no Paul George this year. The forwards are a little bit down this season in comparison to where they have been historically. So it really opens up the spot here for DeRozan and Tatum, I think, to be locks for All-NBA second team, and very, very well deserved at this point. Then we move into the guard spot. Again, very tough and contested here. I opted for Steph Curry, who started the year absolutely phenomenally, and then has kept Golden State afloat while Draymond Green was missing a lot of games. Now, Steph is going to miss some time here at the end of the season, but I think with where he's at in terms of games played, he's played enough. Golden State's been good enough when he's played to still warrant this All-NBA second team selection. He's my first guard here for All-NBA second team. And again, you know, his shooting splits are down this year compared to where he's historically at. His true shooting's down to about 61%, where it's usually around 63%. But still at this point of the season, he's still been good. His shooting splits are really great for any other player. You know, his 3-point percentage is down this year and is still above Trae Young's. So for me, I think Steph Curry, you know, deserves this recognition here, All-NBA second team. Again, I think the guards are highly contested. There's a ton of guards that are deserving of this award. And I do have Steph just narrowly taking this spot. And then my other guard here, I'm going with LeBron James. And now this is going to be the one that's the most questionable, I think, and controversial in the comment section. So let me give you my reasoning here. And I don't need to say what he's doing at year 19 or 37 years old. The age doesn't matter to me. Quite frankly, he's leading the league in scoring. I don't care how old he is when he's doing that. Very rarely does a guy lead the league in scoring and not make an All-NBA team, regardless of his team's record. And let's be honest about it. The Lakers are terrible. Their roster's brutal. I made a video about this back in August saying that they were not going to be good. But what the reality of the situation is, LeBron has been great. No one can really hate on LeBron here, other than, you know, the fact that he's not going to get executive of the year. I don't think LeBron as an executive or GM is very good, but I do think LeBron as a player is immensely good. He's probably one of the best players of all time. Top 2, I would have him for sure. And I think there's some real consideration here for him being the best player to ever play. Again, now this is where we get to the sentimental stuff. You're 19, 37 years old. It doesn't impact my decision here to put him on All-NBA second team, but I do think we should just take a second to actually appreciate the greatness we're seeing. You know, you guys have seen the numbers, I'm sure, on year 19 points per game for specific players. Karl Malone was averaging 14. Carmelo Anthony in year 19 is averaging 13 and a half, and LeBron's averaging 30. Those are the top 3 guys in year 19 for points per game. Again, LeBron's averaging 30, Karl Malone in second, 14 points a game. It's insane. It's not normal. It's not human. And LeBron is still deserving of an All-NBA second team award. And then you get to center, which is interesting here because I think a lot of people are going to be split on where to go here. Karl Anthony Towns makes some sense. You could also give Bam Adebayo a little bit of consideration, although I think he has missed a few too many games to be an All-NBA second team member. And then, of course, Rudy Gobert, who's been multi-time All-NBA, multi-time All-Star, multi-time Defensive Player of the Year. And he's the guy I'm going with here out of Utah. I know that some people are going to look at Karl Anthony Towns long and hard. I think Rudy Gobert maybe doesn't even make All-NBA second team because I think there's going to be a little bit of voter fatigue here for him. But he's in the middle of a career season. He's shooting 71% from the field, which is a career best. He is averaging 14 and a half rebounds a game, which is a career best. He's averaging 15 and a half points a game and 2.3 blocks a game. Okay, this is nuts numbers. The fact that he is having that good of a season, one of the best rebounders in all of basketball right now, which is a massive improvement for where he was 2-3 years ago. It just shows how much better he's gotten as an individual player. He's been more reliable offensively. Still not a great offensive player, don't get me wrong, but his defensive strengths are so immense, and the fact that his offense and rebounding's come along with that, he has to be All-NBA second team, especially if you have Jokic and Embiid on All-NBA first team. Gobert is the obvious choice then for All-NBA second team center. Very well deserving of this. Again, one of the best rebounders in all of basketball right now, along with pretty good scoring input on a great clip at 71%. I know his offense isn't as skilled as Karl-Anthony Towns. I don't think he's nearly as good of an offensive player as Cat, but Cat is nowhere near Rudy Gobert defensively either. So, if you're going to go defense or offense, I'm going to go defense plus rebounding here, and I'm going to take Rudy Gobert over Karl-Anthony Towns at this selection. Then we move into All-NBA third team here, and there's two players here that I think are obvious locks because their team has been so good, and that's Chris Paul and Devin Booker from the Phoenix Suns. They're the best team in the league. They've been, head and shoulders above every other team in the NBA for the last 3-4 months. So the Suns can't be this good and not have any guys make the All-NBA team. So for me, it's going to be Chris Paul and Devin Booker. I think they're both locks here. Now, some people are going to look at that and say, whoa, you have Chris Paul. He's averaging 14 and 10. But this is where you have to actually watch the games and not just be stat sheet watchers, okay? Chris Paul, one of the most clutch players in the NBA, highly impacts winning. He's, really the heart and soul in that team. There's a reason Bismack Biyombo is actually having a decent season. There's a reason JaVale McGee was playing well early. There's a reason DeAndre Ayton actually looks like he was somewhat worthy of that first overall pick. Obviously, no one would actually take him over Luka now at this point, but he doesn't look like a bust by any stretch of the imagination. I think Chris Paul's really the engine there. And you're also going to notice I have Devin Booker here at forward. I think he's played enough forward in the lineups where Campaign and Landry Shamet are on the floor with him that I think he should be considered eligible here for the forward spot. And the reason I did that was to give me a little bit of flexibility here with my next guard. That's Trae Young. I kind of railed on him a little bit with the defense earlier. I think he's one of the worst defensive players in the league, but he's so good offensively. He's so hyper offensive. You have to include him. He's shooting 38% from three this year, 45% overall from the field, 50% on twos. So he's been very, very efficient this season. Again, offensively, he keeps Atlanta alive. Their offense has actually been really bad when he's been off the floor. So for me with the Hawks here, you have to go with Trae Young. 28 and 10. The numbers speak for themselves. He's really great in the pick and roll. One of the best pick and roll facilitators in the league. Him and Chris Paul are right there neck and neck, I would think. And Trae Young's very well deserving of this All-NBA third team. And I'm glad to give it to him. So I had to, be a little bit flexible here with Devin Booker. I listed him as a forward. And then we go to the next forward spot, and it's Kevin Durant, another controversial one here. When he's played this year, he's been worthy of an All-NBA first team selection. Been one of the best players in the NBA. The only issue here is he hasn't played nearly as much as any of these other guys. But with how dominant he's been, I still think he's worthy of an All-NBA selection. I just couldn't put him up where Tatum or DeRozan were because they've been more consistently doing it since they've been more active. They've played way more games, about 20 more games each than Kevin Durant. But when KD's been on the floor, he's been one of the best players in the league. So again, averaging about 29 points a game, about 7 rebounds, and his assist numbers are also up this year. He's doing really, really good things. He's been huge for Brooklyn's success, and when he went out, that team fell apart. So still really worthy of an All-NBA selection here for me. And then the final center spot, I think I gave it away earlier with Karl-Anthony Towns. He's my All-NBA third team center. He's been massive for Minnesota. I think the biggest thing here for Cat's career was the hiring of Chris Finch, who actually utilizes him as a passer out of the post, gets him the ball in more sets, and it's just a better flowing offense for Cat where the ball's in his hands more. It's just night and day difference from when he was playing for Ryan Saunders to what he's doing now for Chris Finch. Finch is, really deserving of Coach of the Year candidate. He's been immense. He's been such a great hire, for the Minnesota Timberwolves since coming in middle of last season. I think Karl-Anthony Towns should write him a personal thank you after getting this All-NBA selection. This has been my All-NBA team. Here's the left off players. James Harden. This one pained me. He's averaging 22.5 and 10. Reason I left him off, again, has missed quite a few games. And then also you look at the fact that he got traded in the middle of the season, and his efficiency is down from where it usually is. He's usually around that 44-45% from the field, down to about 41.5 this year. So he's been less efficient. He's probably my 16th guy, but it's hard when Trae Young's averaging 28 and 10 to take Harden on worse efficiency, averaging 22.5 and 10. So that's my reasoning there. Donovan Mitchell, again, huge player for the Jazz, but for me, I think Gobert is more impactful on that team. And again, the guard spot's just highly contested. Zach LaVine probably was, a little bit lower on my list here, but I think he's having a great season, so I do want to shout him out here a little bit, give him some credit. Bulls fans, I know how much you guys love Zach LaVine. He's been awesome again this season. What a phenomenal trade for you guys, by the way, pulling him away from Minnesota in that Jimmy Butler deal. But ultimately, I just think, he's a top 20 player, probably not top 15 at this point. And then Miami Heat. The issue with them is a lot of them have missed games. I did consider Jimmy Butler, but his three-point shooting has been horrendous since the All-Star break. He's shooting about 9% on threes. Now, he doesn't shoot a ton of them either, so it's not like it's high volume, but just his efficiency is not what it normally is, and his play's just been a little bit worse than what he has been throughout his career up to this point. And then Bam Adebayo, I talked about him earlier, just missed too many games. Tyler Hero, I'm not going to give it to a sixth man. I just don't think that there's any way that you could justify him being a top 15 player in the world this season. So I do want to shout out the Heat because they're number one in the East, and I didn't have any All-NBA teams for them. That's a testament to how good Eric Spoelstra is as a head coach, and also how strong and well-rounded this roster is. Even without a top guy, they have a really good collection of all-star level players. So even though they have no All-NBA guys in this one, I do want to shout them out and say that they are a really great team, and they could really do a lot of damage in the Eastern Conference playoffs. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you did enjoy. If you did, leave a like, subscribe as well if you're new. Comment your All-NBA teams in the comment section. Give me your first, second, and third teams. If you could do that, that would be absolutely awesome. Again, check out Pixel Witch on Twitter. Link to their Twitter is in the description, as well as check us out on Twitter and TikTok. Again, thanks so much for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, subscribe, and we'll catch you in the very next Utility Sports video.